You are tuned into a special player spotlight interview on the CS Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the CS Podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first since 2002. Visit NFLDraftBible.com. I'm your host, Chris Shanafelt, and as you guys know, just this past weekend, we had the first collegiate All-Star Games with the National Bowl and the FCS Bowl played in Miami, Florida. And joining the show now for a player spotlight interview is a player that participated in the FCS Bowl. He is 2016 NFL draft prospect, wide receiver out of Division II's Lindenwood University, Greg Coble. And I appreciate you taking some time this afternoon, Greg. Now, before we actually talk about your time at Lindenwood, I definitely want to get your thoughts on the FCS Bowl in which you did participate in this past week, like I mentioned. I mean, talk about how you feel you performed and what was it like to go up against some Division I guys?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's a good honor to be on the show. Well, as far as the game, I feel as though I performed to the best of my ability. We all had a chance to go out there, and show what we had. I didn't count my reps, but I made my reps count, and I took full advantage of the opportunity that was presented. It was really good competition. Everyone out there was a good athlete, good students of the game, and we definitely had to bring our A game or get exposed. The game speed was a little slower than I was used to because here at Lindenwood we run a no huddle, and we huddled up, which was different, but it was pretty good to let some of the guys catch the wind. But then when we ended up going no huddle, I felt like I was in my element. But the FCS Bowl, we had a chance to meet some really good players, coaches, become better students of the game, pick their brain. And it's a great experience, I feel like, for those people who get invited, next year and years to come, that they should definitely take full advantage of this opportunity because it's a really good one.
You didn't count your reps, but you made your reps count. I absolutely love that. Now, I got to ask you, being from the Division II level, I would think that you would play in the National Bowl, which was the game for the Division II, Division III NAIA guys. But here you were playing in the FCS Bowl. Was that kind of an honor for you coming from the Division II level?
It really was. It really was because I know as I was sitting there, I was watching the game before, and I noticed that Marquise Cushion was from Pittsburgh State that we played against this year. Really good athlete, really nice guy. That he was in that one, and I was confused because at first I didn't know that there were two games until we got there. But it was definitely an honor. You could definitely tell that those guys are out there, giving their best, and it was good to play against higher level of competition.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure. Now, did anybody catch your eye at the FCS Bowl, whether it was a fellow wide receiver with you on offense or maybe even on the defensive side of the ball, like a corner or a safety?
Actually, there were two people that really caught my eye. It was they were on my team. They are fellow wide receivers. It was Pokey Harris and Jeremy Harness from Murray State. When I was at Murray State, they had just come in as freshmen. And, I haven't seen those guys since I left Murray State. So just seeing how far they've come and progressed was really impressive. If those two continue at it, they're destined for greatness.
And I got to think that was pretty cool that, obviously you probably didn't know them too well, seeing as you were there for their freshman year. But, it must have been pretty cool to kind of go down to Miami, Florida and already have some familiar faces, the guys that you are already familiar with. Moving on, Greg, now I do believe there's about 14 NFL teams that were represented down there in Miami for the FCS Bowl. And I know, the CFL was represented down there, the AFL, the Major League Football Association as well, that is a new league that's kind of building up this year. Any chance you were able to chat with any scouts, or maybe if not, got the impression that teams were looking at you?
Oh, yes, of course. Well, when we were weighing in, I had the chance to talk with a scout from the Packers and the Jets. We obviously talked about Pierre, how he was doing. They asked what it was like living in St. Charles because one of the Jet scouts used to live here in St. Charles, so he was asking questions about that. And we just talked about Lindenwood in general and what it was like to play here and what campus was like and, how I enjoyed it.
Once again, he's wide receiver Greg Coble, the 2016 NFL draft prospect by way of Lindenwood University, joining me here on the CS podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first since 2002. Visit NFLDraftBible.com. And Greg, before you were at Lindenwood, you were actually at Murray State. I mean, talk to us a little bit about why you decided to make that move to Lindenwood. Why did you decide to transfer, and how did you end up at Lindenwood? I mean, it wasn't, at the time, I mean, it wasn't the biggest, it still isn't the biggest Division II school, but, obviously since Pierre Desir has left there, Lindenwood was put on the radar of many people. I mean, talk to us about how you landed at Lindenwood, and were there any other schools that you had in mind?
Okay, yeah, well, it was a great experience. Got a chance to play with great guys. Fitzgerald, and I were really good friends. When I was in Murray, and we still keep in communication. But I just felt that, my time in Murray State I wanted to be closer to home. I was really homesick, and I just felt like Lindenwood was a better fit for me and my family, going back and forth and whatnot. As far as other schools, I mean, I didn't really look too much into it. I just was going down, the list. I looked at a lot of Division II schools that were in Missouri. I looked at UCM, Northwest Missouri. And then, I came across Lindenwood, and I had family that lives up here, in the St. Louis area, which is 20, 30 minutes away, so I was like, I feel like Lindenwood would be a good fit for me. So I called Coach Ross, and he was like, we'd love to have you, come on. So I ended up in Murray State coming to Lindenwood, and it was a really good choice for me.
So going back to your home state of Missouri was a pretty big factor in this, right?
Oh, yes, sir, of course.
And, Greg, I see that throughout your 2 active years at Lindenwood, you did record 69 receptions for over 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. Talk about what it was like, playing under head coach Patrick Ross, what it was like playing for the Lindenwood Lions, and how would you describe your overall experience there?
Playing at Lindenwood has been nothing but a pleasure. I've had the chance to learn a lot from my position coaches like Derek Stanley and Kenny Sims. They taught me how to become a better student of the game, and that has helped me take my game to a completely different level. And Coach Ross, he's such a stand-up guy. He stands firm for what he believes in, and he has so much knowledge of the game. He's not only taught us to be better football players, but made us realize that there is life after football. And he's taught us so many life lessons that will help us be successful in life, like how to be a better husband, how to be, a better father, stand-up citizen in society. He's instilled so many good traits in us and taught us so much that it helps us on and off the field.
Absolutely. And you know what, Greg, I've actually had the pleasure of speaking with a number of different Lindenwood Lions, whether it's Pierre Desir, Francisco Llanos, who is also a fellow wide receiver last year for you guys. And I've been able to chat with Connor Harris quite a few times. And I got to tell you, man, each and every time I speak with you guys from Lindenwood, I'm always impressed by the way you guys carry yourself. And obviously, I think that's a credit to the coaching staff. And like you said, I mean, it's not all about football. There is life after football. But looking more into your time at Lindenwood, Greg, I mean, it was your redshirt year when defensive back Pierre Desir, who of course is now with the Cleveland Browns, who was their 4th round pick a couple years ago. When Pierre was there, it was your redshirt year. Can you just talk about what it was like going up against an NFL caliber defensive back every day in practice during that 2013 season, and how Pierre Desir helped you become a better wide receiver? Because it's not every day where you go to a Division II school and you have an NFL draft pick going up against you in practice every day.
Oh yeah, that is very true. Pierre Desir is the perfect example of what Lindenwood is about. He's not only an amazing football player, but he's also an amazing father. I myself, I'm a father of 2, and Pierre, he just had a son, and Pierre made me so much better as a player and mentored me, on how to be a father. So he gave me so much knowledge. I mean, the best advice he ever told me was not on the field, but off the field. He's like, treat your children better than your father treated you. And I just respected Pierre so much for that. Like, he never let the hype get to his head. He was just a very humble guy, and he was a bully on the field. Now, I'm not going to lie about that. I remember my very first day going against Pierre, it was press coverage. Everybody was, hyping up. Like, it was like, hey, like, don't let him get his hands on you because, as you see, he's a specimen, he's definitely not human. And, I'm thinking, I come in there, Pierre? No, I'm not going to believe the hype until I see it. And so the very first play, he jammed me. He literally picked me up and threw me on the ground and goes, "Welcome to Lindenwood." And then he helped me up. And I was like, all right. I was like, now I get it. Now I get it. So every day we went against Pierre, I looked forward to it every single day. He knew that I was going to make him better because I wasn't going to pull any punches and was not going to go easy on him, and I knew he wasn't going to do the same. So just going against a guy like Pierre was just, a privilege and an honor. And I still talk to him today, ask him how he's doing, how his children are doing. We converse, at least, once or twice, within a month. So it was a very good experience.
Oh yeah. You know what? That's awesome. And as you said, I think Pierre Desir, I've been doing these prospect interviews for a few years now, and I obviously had the pleasure of speaking with Pierre. And like you said, probably one of the most humble guys I've ever come across. And I'm sure, after that first day of practice, Greg, you had did you when he was helping you up, did you ask if you guys were still cool? It sounded pretty rough.
Yeah, I was just shocked because I didn't think he would do it. I didn't know what to expect. But, yeah, after that, he did it with a smile on his face the entire time. I was just at a loss of words.
Man, that's awesome. That was definitely a very, very cool story. And like you said, not every day you could go up against NFL-caliber talent, especially coming from a smaller school like Lindenwood. But lots of talent coming out of there. A great program that Patrick Ross, I think, the head coach of course, I think has certainly going upwards. Again, he's Greg Coble, the wide receiver out of Lindenwood University. 2016 NFL draft prospect, joining me here on the CS podcast. And Greg, what would you say is your biggest strength as a wide receiver, and what is something that you think you can still get better at?
My biggest strength as a receiver would have to be, I would say, my changing speed and my jumping ability. Also, I've become a better student of the game, so that's definitely helped me progress. What I can get better at is everything. There's always room for improvement. You can always get better at catching, running routes, like I said before, becoming a better student of the game, understanding route concepts, and knowing that, you're supposed to expect the ball every time, but then also understand that your route could also help open up a route for somebody else. And I could definitely get better at blocking. Blocking, you can't stress that enough. That's extremely important because it's our block that's perimeter and slot receivers, which could spring the running back to get loose or the quarterback.
Oh yeah, I don't think any receiver could, or anybody at that could be, a perfectionist at route running or blocking. Like you said, there's always things to work on. Now, for those who may not be too familiar with your game, again, coming from a smaller program in Lindenwood, if you were to compare yourself to a wide receiver currently playing in the NFL, who do you think that would be and why?
I would like to say Larry Fitzgerald personally, not only because of what he does on the field, but how he carries himself off of the field. I watch Larry, I study him, I watch his routes, the way he blocks, how he understands the game. He's not a selfish player, and that's who I've always, modeled myself after.
And you cannot go wrong with that. Obviously, a future Hall of Famer, and like you said, a great guy off the field as well. And I don't know if you were able to watch that Thursday night football game last night between the Cardinals and the Vikings, Greg. But, Larry Fitzgerald had one of the nastiest blocks I've seen in quite some time on a long John Brown touchdown. It was just magnificent.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I try not to miss a game Larry plays, and seeing that, it just makes me like and aspire to be like him even more because he's such an unselfish player, and that's what I really love about him.
And you see that through the years. Now it seems like everything's kind of paying off for him as the Cardinals are one of the top teams in the NFL. But, for years, this guy had, quarterbacks like John Skelton and Ryan Lindley throwing in the ball. Now he has Carson Palmer, who has moved into the MVP conversation. Again, we are chatting with Greg Coble, the 2016 NFL draft prospect out of Lindenwood University. And, Greg, with the FCS Bowl now behind you, what's next for you? Are you getting ready for your pro day? Do you know if you're going to be participating in any regional combines? What's next for you?
Oh, it's next. It's finals week, so I've mainly been focusing on that, trying to get done with all of that. I had agent, get in contact with me, saying he wants to represent me and everything. But, I'm just trying to focus on my academics right now, finish that and see what happens. But as of right now, I'm shooting for the regional combine in Minnesota, which is going to be March 5th. So, I'm about to start training for that come tomorrow, actually, because I just finished my last final. So, it's definitely time to strap it up and, get right for this combine and put up some really good numbers.
And with that said, I mean, do you have any goals written down that you'd like to achieve when it comes to, your pro day, whenever that comes, or that Minnesota regional combine?
As of right now, no, because we haven't tested. So, I don't even know where I'm at, at all on anything. So when I go back home to Poplar Bluff, I'm going to, get my trainer and we're going to, put up these numbers and see what happens. And then we'll go from there and see what we need to really work on and improve.
All right. Sounds good. Now, I do see that just dropped my pen. Now, I do see that the Lindenwood Lions website has you listed at 6'2", 193 pounds. Is that accurate?
The height? Not the height, no, not so much. I mean, when we weighed in at the FCS Bowl, I only came in at 5'11". I mean, I guess I'm 6 foot with cleats on, but the weight was accurate. Once that's my in season playing weight, 193, 195. Mm-hmm. But once season got over, I mainly focused on academics, and I wasn't eating as much, staying up, later, whatever, to study for finals and tests that we had coming up. So sleep was, I was deprived of sleep, so my weight went down a little bit, but it'll be easy to put, all that back on.
All right. And, yeah, I mean, your guys' season has been over for quite some time now. I mean, almost a month. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, the Division II season certainly ends pretty early if, of course, you're not playing in the playoffs or the championship game as, the FCS playoffs. They just started a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of these college seasons are already over, if not, certainly winding down. And just a couple more questions for you, Greg, and then I'll let you go. It's really been a pleasure chatting with you. Or actually, I guess this is my final question. I'm sorry. If an NFL general manager was listening to this very interview, why should they want the wide receiver out of Lindenwood University, Greg Coble, a part of their team?
Because I have so much to offer. I'm a stand-up guy. I give 110% no matter what I'm doing. I'm never going to take a playoff. I'm going to do what I have to do, no matter what it is, to help the organization, and win some games and ultimately, win a championship.
Hey, well said. And you know what, Greg? Like I said, I mean, you guys over at Lindenwood, you guys bring out not only some great talent, but some standout characters. And I got to say, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. And once again, congratulations on, having that opportunity to show out at the FCS Bowl. And I'm certainly wishing you all the best as you gear up for the 2016 NFL Draft.
All right. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.